Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show live on Rumble, where facts come first and where news is done right. And we begin with the breaking news out of Washington, where Congress today officially certified President Trump's 2024 election victory. It's the final step before the inauguration on January 20th. Kamala Harris presided over this certification following her loss in November. Watch.
Announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected, President and Vice President of the United States, each for a term beginning on the 20th day of January 2025, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the House and the Senate. Thank you very much.
And meanwhile, Team Trump is moving full speed on getting cabinet picks confirmed and day one actions ready for the president's signature. Here's Border Czar Tom Holman giving a sneak peek of what's to come. Take a look.
As I've been clear from day one, that President is going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. And have you heard from your previous segments, we have a huge national security issue in this country. The southwest border has become the biggest national security vulnerability we've seen in this nation. FBI Director Wray agrees with me. We know there's people in this country who pose a national security threat. They've arrested a record number of people on the terrorist watch list, a 3,500% increase in people on the terrorist watch list being arrested at the border. We got over 2 million known gotaways. We know 2 million people crossed the border, weren't arrested, weren't vetted, weren't fingerprinted. So you got to ask yourself, why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less, turn themselves into Border Patrol, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room, get 3 meals a day, get free medical care?
But what are Democrats doing in their final days in office? Dishing out medals to people like Liz Cheney, Hillary Clinton, and even George Soros. And it's even more egregious than you already know. Watch.
To President Biden issuing these medals.
Well, this award to Liz Cheney really is inappropriate. This is a woman who was hand-selected by Nancy Pelosi to run a committee that was extremely one-sided. Liz Cheney, in the course of running this committee to supposedly investigate the January 6th incident at the Capitol, she obstructed justice. She witness tampered. We have lots of reason to believe she witness tampered with Cassidy Hutchinson getting involved in that woman's actual legal representation. She hid evidence that exonerated Donald Trump. I mean, one of the big things that Liz Cheney had said was that Donald Trump had not, in fact, sought a presence at the Capitol to protect people who were protesting. And she had evidence when she conducted her interviews that the deputy chief of staff said he personally heard Donald Trump say that he thought 10,000 National Guard troops would be good, that he heard the chief of staff talk to the D.C. mayor encouraging her to request those troops. But she hid that evidence, completely failed to release that evidence until, and it only came out after Republicans took control of the House. This is not someone that you should be giving an award to, someone who's witness tampering, obstructing justice, and the like.
Joining me now, criminal defense and civil rights lawyer, CEO of the McBride firm, Joseph McBride. What a pleasure to have you back on the program.
It's good to be here, Kimberly. It's nice to see you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy January 6th.
Yes, exactly. No coincidence. So I do appreciate you taking the time, especially today. 4 years later, President Trump has his victory certified. 4 years after Democrats attempted to exploit the events of January 6th to destroy President Trump and to dismantle the MAGA movement. How do you, and you've been such a pivotal, focus and center point of it, how do you put it all into perspective?
Look, God did not abandon the United States of America in this election. President Trump, 45, is who should have been 46, is going to be 47. All of us knew in our hearts and in our minds and what we saw that the election was stolen. There was something wrong with it. We all knew it. And that's what that was the genesis, the root of why people came out on January 6th. We all fought. I fought, you fought, the president fought. good patriots across this country fought, members of Congress and the Senate fought. We did not give up. We did not give in. We never surrendered. I don't think that the other side understood the willpower and the resolve of the American citizen to remain free, free from the boot of tyranny, free from the warrantless intrusion of government into our personal lives, be that if we're private citizens or members of government, like what happened with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. The American people had enough. I believe that God himself has had enough. And, you know, just to wrap it up and put a bow on it, Kamala Harris herself certified the election today on January 6th. You can't write this stuff better. You can't make it up. This is karma. This is destiny. This is the American dream reinventing itself. And we saw what happened today. President Trump's election was certified. Votes were counted, entered, recorded. And now the next and final step is January 20th. This is vindication for myself, vindication for everybody who's been on the right side of this. And there's certainly the people who went to the Capitol on January 6th.
Yeah, I mean, my God, I mean, how much have all of us, prayed about this? And it goes to show you it's a phrase and a saying for a reason, which is, justice delayed is not justice denied. And, God willing, these families are going to get some peace. And through their prayers and through President Trump coming into office, he has said that January 6th pardons will be on a case-by-case basis. What does it look like to you? And I mean, nobody knows this whole thing better than you do. And just how many cases are there to look at? And I know, like the most egregious, et cetera. Even one person, behind bars, even one day longer is so heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Kimberly. It's over 1,800 cases. There are a lot of cases.
Terrible.
And look, I've been advocating for a general pardon since day one, because I believe that the Metropolitan Police of DC, the Capitol Police, people like Nancy Pelosi, they were the wrongdoers on that day, but for their negligence, but for their purposefulness. A lot of the things that took place on January 6th, including the violence, would have never happened. They're the wrongdoers that day. Also, the punishment has to fit the crime. When you juxtapose what happened at the Capitol against what happened in the Summer of Love, George Floyd, Antifa, BLM, all those riots, I mean, nobody even lit a match. I mean, the punishment has to fit the crime. The punishment does not fit the crime. So when we're talking about the case-by-case scenario, the first thing we have to do is say, okay, if there are people who are pardon eligible, do we let them languish in prison, or do we ask the president to say, hey, Mr. President, listen, we understand you want to do this case by case. This could take a year or longer. Commute these sentences. Let these good men out. Rid them of the penalty of incarceration. Rid them of the financial burden of having to pay back the government with these exorbitant fines. Rid them of the intrusion of having parole and probation, constantly monitoring what they do, and so on and so forth. If you want to set up a sentencing commission, if you want to set up a pardon commission, well, go ahead and do that. But if somebody is pardon eligible, and most of these men are, even the ones who were violent, you can't let these guys languish in very difficult situations in jail. So we're hoping, if it's case by case, that he grants commutations alongside of it in order to alleviate the burden of incarceration, because these men can die at any minute. The conditions
Terrible.
that they're in very, very dangerous prisons with gangsters and murderers from all over the world. It's bad for everybody. It's bad for them. It's bad for their families. They need to come home.
You're absolutely right. And just even one day can be treacherous and life-threatening. I guess you would probably have a lot of suggestions about, how it should be approached in terms of who should be looked at first. I mean, I know that you want the, general across the board, which also makes sense. But then from the president's perspective, he's saying, okay, I want to really make sure and certain of all of them. What do you think are some of the criteria?
Well, so it's going to come down as a matter of first impression, first glance, who was violent and who was not violent. Non-violent guys, all of them should be pardoned straight out the gate, not even a question about it, right?
Okay.
So then you get to the violent people and you look at the charges that they have, and it's the 111A1, the 111A2 charge. This has to do with violence against officers. This is where it gets very confusing because in many circumstances, you have good men who were sitting there and MAGA grandma is getting beat up next to them. MAGA grandpa with his cane, the Vietnam veterans getting thrown on the floor. Good men don't go home at night and lay their heads down on their pillow, not having intervened in those situations. So if there were justifiable reasons for good men to take action, to involve themselves, to stop innocent protesters from being hurt, those are the men who should be pardoned. Those are the vast majority of people who were charged with acts of violence at the Capitol. Now, if you have somebody who came down there in the front of the line, they jumped over the barricade and they punched an officer in the face, look, that's bad, right? That's if we're doing case by case, that's not a situation that's pardon eligible. But if you have somebody who's there, it's John the mailman, Joe the cop, Cindy the school teacher, and they're sitting there and they're getting trampled on, they're getting beat on, they're getting shot with crowd control devices. And if they defend themselves or if they defend other people, then they should be pardoned because they should have never been hit in the first place. And it was their right to use force, as we saw with Kyle Rittenhouse, as we saw with Daniel Penny. Sometimes you have to use force when your life or the lives of other people are in danger. So not all violence is criminal. And that's what this is going to come down to. It's going to take a long time. If it's going to be case by case, we're going to have to look at the ins and outs of all these cases. He needs to bring on the people and the lawyers who know this stuff best in order to facilitate this process in the most expedient and intelligent way possible.
So now the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Matthew Graves, will resign ahead of Inauguration Day. Now, some House Republicans say that he must be held accountable, right, for the lives that he has ruined and the prosecutorial norms that he has abused and violated. What do we need to know?
Matthew Graves is a criminal. He's a communist who hates this country. He could have at any point in time stood up to Merrick Garland and just said, hey, listen, this is wrong. Enough is enough. But they were all in on it. They all wanted the innocent people or some of the people who fractured an occasional law or two at the Capitol to endure the worst possible consequence, to send a message to President Trump and to people who support him that if you're on the wrong side of the issues, that if you're on the wrong side of the political aisle, we will hunt you down. We will kick in your door with the FBI and different types of SWAT teams will use military force against you to drag you across the country, to put you in a gulag pre-trial, to hurt you, to harm you, to break your family, to deprive you of everything simply because you don't agree with us. He knew what he was doing and he's wrong and he should be held accountable. There needs to be an investigation into everything that he has done into the last 4 years of his operation in DC. That goes for Merrick Garland as well. This is going to take work. President Trump only has 4 years to do it. This could take longer than that. So we need a commitment from JD Vance and other people in the party as well to make sure that we get the job done going forward.
Great point. You're absolutely right, because we need the longevity and we need the long-term commitment, because this isn't a process that can just be expedited. No matter how much you want it to be, it could take some time, and you need that to be an extended commitment. So when you think about it, right, the Swamp's, official narrative on January 6th, it never made much sense. And what we found out was the more we learned, the more their narrative, false narrative, collapsed. For example, why would the FBI be interested, in going after everyone and anyone near the Capitol on January 6th, except for the mysterious unknown pipe bomber? It just never added up.
Yeah, it never added up. No pipe bomber. Also, the people who put up the gallows and hung the gallows, we saw that imagery was used all over the place in the first year and a half, right? We suspect that the same people who were involved with the pipe bomb were involved with the gallows as well. They're going after everybody but the people who matter because they were never concerned with the truth. They were only concerned with proffering a false narrative, propaganda to the public to get half of the American population to believe what they were selling in order to win the next election. Fortuitously, Americans in their guts don't like to be lied to.
That's
and
correct.
Enough of us came out and said, you know what? We don't like what we're doing. It's happening to the other party now. Some Democrats changed votes the other way. Independents swung for Trump. Obviously, the people are not happy with it. Now we need to do something about it. But to your point, this was propaganda from the beginning. This was a witch hunt from the beginning in order to proffer a false narrative to the public, to get the public to believe that President Trump was the head of some lunatic army, and nothing could have been further from the truth.
I know. Trust me. I mean, it's so painful, the whole thing. I did 13 hours of testimony with 7 lawyers, just outrageous stuff. And it was just terrible. It was just terrible. And I'm still doing document production over January 6th and lawsuits against President Trump. It's insane. And it's an insane amount of like legal fees, everything that I've had to pay.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. But imagine if they put you in jail, take your freedom, destroy your family, keep you from seeing your children and raising them. I mean, it's unconscionable. It's unfathomable. And I applaud you because you've never given up. You've hung in there and fought like a champion. And, thank God, that Jesus Christ put you there to fight for these families. And hopefully with the help of God, we're going to get this, squared away from them. I mean, it's some small consolation to be like, okay, finally it got resolved, but it doesn't undo the damage and the harm and the heartache and the anxiety and the frustration and the broken families. And the psychological, damage to these families and to children. And I want to talk a little bit to go ahead, and then I'll ask you the next question.
I was just going to say, amen, KG. You are right. But, in this life, sometimes no cross, no crown. We have to think about what led up to the events of January 6th, why we as a population of citizens, sort of dropped the ball. We became complacent. We learned through the pandemic and through January 6th how important local elections are, school boards are, so on and so forth. We're woken up now. We're all of us are involved in every level that we possibly can be. And going forward, there should be more accountability and a little bit more of old-fashioned American values in everything that we do.
Absolutely. And I want you to talk to our viewers a little bit about, what you personally saw in the front lines, in the courtroom, which I always think as a former prosecutor is very fascinating to see, what goes on, behind the scenes and in the courtroom and what was going on. And specifically, the corruption that this exposed in our legal system.
So, the jury pool is 96% Biden voter. You combine that with the fact that the vast majority of people, a significant portion of people who live in DC work in government, right? So if you think about it, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. If I were on a 9/11 jury with those hijackers who attacked my hometown, right? There's no way I could have been on that jury. I just would have convict them all, send them to the chair, whatever it is. My emotions, my vitriol for what happened to my city would have blinded me from being a fair fact finder in that trial. So when you look at January 6th and you look at the vast majority of people who are on the jury pool, most of those people felt attacked, and they felt attacked because the January 6th committee and the mainstream media kept proffering and pumping this narrative to them that Trump supporters came to your town to attack you in your village, at your front gates, and you have a civic duty to convict these people no matter what the cost. Forget about justice. We have to defend DC, our home turf. I'm not just saying this. This is evidenced by the fact that of all the cases, I think there were 2 acquittals, and one was like a half of acquittal. There's almost 100% conviction rate. That's absolutely insane. So these people had no chance at trial. We filed in every case, my cases, other attorneys as well, change of venue motions. I cited Oliver North in my case. I said, hey, listen, Oliver North gave testimony on C-SPAN in 1990. His criminal conviction was overturned because the judge said that the jury was drenched in his congressional testimony. What about the congressional testimony of the January 6th committee and everything that we have seen in the impeachment hearings? There's no way they can get a fair trial here. The jury pool is beyond the pale. It's just never going to happen. We were denied in every case. Not one change of venue motion was approved, and as a result, we all lost. We fought our butts off. A lot of good lawyers in there doing very, very good work. But when the judge is against you and the juries are against you, all you can do is your best to let your client know that, hey, I did everything I can do for you in this situation to make sure that you didn't go to jail. And unfortunately, in most cases, we all lost.
That's
Insane.
terrible. And that's not justice. I mean, I worked for many, many, many years as a prosecutor, and as you know, tried that infamous, the second degree implied malice murder precedent setting case in the country now, with the dog mauling case.
Right.
I did not even oppose for 1 second the change of venue. And they moved the case from San Francisco down to criminal courts building, Los Angeles, to the 9th floor where OJ was tried for the maximum security stuff. Why would you want to be part of injustice? Like, I said to myself, we're not going to oppose this. They can't get a fair trial in San Francisco. And I wanted everything perfected on appeal so there was no issue, no error, anything like that. If you have to cheat to win, that's not justice. And it offends me that those motions were not granted. There should have been a change of venue. The fix was in at the outset, and it is outrageous. And everyone is complicit in it, as you have demonstrated and pointed out. That's not right. That's not the justice system in America. This shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have transpired. And like you said, the odds were stacked up, against you and against these fine people every step of the way.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you just said. Look, you're an ethical person and you were an ethical prosecutor. You said, look, there has to be justice here, right? The trial has to be fair. The jury has to be balanced. It needs to be equitable, and it can't be tainted, because if I win and I lose on appeal because we did it the wrong way, then everything goes out the window. So you took everything into consideration in your case and you got the job done the right way. That's the way it's supposed to be done. Prosecutors have great responsibility in terms of their profession and the duty that they're carrying out in the legal field. Unfortunately, in the situation in Washington, D.C., this has become religion for them. The whole secular, anti-American, anti-Christian, anti-organized religion thing, it's a jihad for them. It's an unholy jihad against all of us. They hate us. So the chance for survival and the chance for acquittal is analogous to a black man accused of rape in 1930 Oklahoma. You're not going to win, no matter how much the evidence supports you, no matter how good of a job your lawyer does. The judge and the jury hate you, and it was over before you walked in the room because of the color of your skin and because of your beliefs. And in this situation in Washington, D.C., you have the vast majority of people who are white, Christian, Jesus-loving, America-loving Trump supporters being tried in courts full of people who hate their worldview, who see the world very differently than them, and who want nothing more than to send these people to jail, not because of what they did, but because of what they look like, who they are, and what they believe in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 100%. And, talk about a little bit about how this all, relates for the reasons that you got into law, in the first place, what motivated you as an individual to seek justice and to represent those that you feel had been, falsely accused. And what does it show, more importantly, about the importance of robust due process and criminal defense?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. I became a lawyer in response to my own brother's wrongful conviction in 2005. I have two brothers. My brother Eric is my brother by blood. My brother Anthony by adoption. He was born addicted to heroin, alcohol, serious psychological issues, including paranoid schizophrenia. He was accused of a crime that he absolutely did not commit. He was held for a few days in jail. They forced a confession from him after threatening him with 125 years of incarceration. My brother got 15 years in prison before I even blinked an eye, before I even knew what was going on. I dropped what I was doing in life and went to college and then law school to become an attorney to try to get my brother out. The week I became an attorney, my brother got out like 30 days later. I wasn't able to help him, but the fire in my belly, the fire in my soul, comes from that, because I know what it's like to have my family's fate and the fate of my brother in the hands of an attorney that just doesn't care. So that's where it comes from. And I knew when I got the call for January 6 cases for Richard Barnett's case, the guy who had his feet up on Pelosi's desk, I knew that I was going to burn a lot of bridges and lose a lot of friends in New York, but I knew that God was calling me to do this. I felt the vocational call inside of my soul. And I said I had to step up and I had to fight. And I got him out, and everything sort of rolled from there. And the concept of due process, what you're talking about, it's the idea that you are afforded a process anytime the government wants to take something from you, be it your money, your belongings, or especially your freedom. And the government just can't hold you in jail indefinitely without just cause. Unfortunately, the government rewrote the book on bail when it came to January 6 cases, and it held men for long periods of time in solitary confinement in egregious conditions, men who were often not violent or who were not, in terms for purposes of the analysis of bail, they were not a danger to themselves or to other people, and they were not a flight risk. Almost, I want to say 99.9% of every January 6er that was incarcerated pre-trial never should have been there. But they threw out all of the law that went before up until January 5th of 21. And they said January 6th is a unique day. It was an attack on democracy. So we're going to treat these men like enemy combatants. It's going to go down in history as one of the most egregious constitutional violations in the history of this country. I'm glad like people like you and like me and like the president have been on the right side of this since day one.
It matters. And just, when you just feel like you can't take it anymore, you just do not give up. You do not give up. You persevere, you push through. And our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has shown us that. And so we have to embody that strength as well. And just, as we kind of wrap up here, talk about your optimism for the future and how Americans can stop these abuses. I know it's so important to you. It's so important to me, to our family. To make sure that people do not go through what we have seen happen to President Trump, happen to the January 6ers, all of the above. How do we stop these abuses of power, once and for all?
Well, people have to be involved. They have to be involved. Parents need to be involved in what's going on with their children. I think we all saw, those of us who are parents, years ago, we kind of trusted the school system. And then we found out over the past 10 years, what the hell, my children are being taught what? They're learning this. Whoa, we all got involved, right? January 6 happens, and you heard about abuses in prison. You hear about constitutional violations. You don't think it's an actual reality. And then bang, this happens. Now we're all involved. We have to make sure that we don't squander the suffering that just took place, whether it's the school board stuff, whether it is the pandemic related stuff, whether it's the election being stolen, whatever it is, we've all suffered. It's been hell for all of us, right? We have to make sure that we turn that suffering into something that's redeeming by staying involved, by forcing accountability at the local level and at the highest level of office. And the only way that we do that is through constant civic engagement. A term like that 10, 20 years ago would have sounded like, something that just doesn't make sense. How do we stay civically engaged in Washington, D.C. and in the upper echelons of our state government? It's easier now more than ever because we have platforms like Rumble, we have platforms like X. Everybody's on it. Everybody's involved. You can access your congressmen, your representatives in different forms of government right there. It's everybody's involvement is there. We can do it so long as we stay consistent. One of the things that the Democrats have done very, very well over the past 50 years is infiltrate every institution under the earth and convert it to their way of thinking. We need to work hard over the next few decades and generations to undo all that, to restore balance, and to make sure that things like this never, ever happen again.
Amen to that. And you know what? Never give up the fight. You hanging in there and standing for them, for these families, that was the win. That was the example. And, I know that they will never forget it because when the chips were down, you never gave up, no matter what the odds. And as insurmountable as they seemed at the time, you just kept pushing through. But all of this brought awareness and an outrage from the American people. And all of this helps to influence the election and people's frame and state of mind and who they want to vote for and what kind of illicit, corrupt government they wanted to throw out. So it really played a large part in all of this. So you should feel very good about that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that coming from you, KG. I really do.
Absolutely. God bless. All right. Lawyer Joe McBride, one of a kind. Thank you and God bless you.
God bless you too.
And coming up, laying out the Trump 100-day agenda and the MAGA mandate. But first, check out our friends at the Birch Gold Group. We love them. It is a new year, folks, and that means it's a great time to prepare for the future. Birch Gold will take you through the process step by step, answer any questions, and help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold so you don't pay a penny out of pocket. Text KG to 989898 today. That's KG to the number 989898. And I also want to bring you a special message from Patriot Lifestyle where you can save more and spend less on a whole host of different benefits, from savings on travel, identity theft, legal services, and even pet care. Take a look. Guilfoyle here, and I'm so excited to introduce the Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program. With our benefits program, you get a range of lifestyle benefits at an affordable price so you can save money and stay secure. For example, as a member, you will access exclusive discounts with NB Cash Back, so you can save more on your everyday expenses like groceries, restaurants, and even auto services. And with NB Travel, you can experience more but spend less by enjoying deep discounts on flights, hotels, entertainment, and so much more. These benefits are available to you and your immediate family to use anytime, anywhere. We also offer identity theft protection, so you can stay on top of any unauthorized, fraudulent, or illegal activity. And access free and discounted legal services, so you can protect your rights and receive top legal advice without breaking the bank. Plus, enjoy peace of mind on the highway with our roadside assistance program. And even take care of your furry friends with discounts on pet food, toys, medicine, grooming, and even trips to the vet. Our program is designed specifically for America First patriots like you, who understand the importance of letting your dollars reflect your values and supporting companies who support you. And the best part of all of this, our benefits are at below market prices, so you can enjoy all of them while living the Patriot lifestyle to the fullest. So don't miss out. Visit our website at patriotbenefits.net. That's patriotbenefits.net. Thank you again for choosing the Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program, where real benefits and real savings are our top priority. Join us today and start saving now. And you can go to patriotbenefits.net to learn more, because these programs all come at an extraordinary value and they will greatly improve your life. Now, as you know, we've made it clear on this show that President Trump's cabinet picks must be swiftly confirmed, and we must be ready to go on day one. And 2025 is still going to be a fight against the swamp. But whatever headwinds we may face, the new cabinet and our key America First allies must be ready to deliver on our promises. And joining me now, Article 3 Project Executive Vice President, Afghan War Veteran Mark Lucas. What a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, fantastic. So you had a post on X that puts a lot of this into perspective, referencing how we can deliver on a 100-day agenda this time and, learn from kind of the mistakes of the past to get it right, to hit the mark this time. What do you see as the outlook for these first 100 days?
Yes, Kimberly, I've given somewhat of a vignette of what we experienced in 2017. President Trump won a monumental election in 2016, and he campaigned on a 10-point plan to help veterans, and specifically to reform the Department of Veterans Affairs. So it was a bipartisan approach. We had members in both the House and the Senate that supported bringing accountability to the VA, and also to protect whistleblowers, those good employees who love serving our vets, that we gave them an avenue to come forward to be able to talk about the problems of the VA. And there's a bill called the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017. It was sponsored by Marco Rubio. President Trump supported this bill. I was able to brief him in the Roosevelt Room on the benefits of this bill. At that time, the VA Secretary Shulkin, he supported it, and a majority of the VSOs. So why couldn't we get passed? I urged President Trump to tell Mitch McConnell to put that bill on his desk in the first 100 days. I went on Fox News. I also made that same appeal. Let's put this on President Trump's desk. Let's give him a great victory in his first 100 days. But it stalled out. And the problem was we had congressional Republicans who did not want to give President Trump a win. This might sound familiar, even though President Trump hasn't started his first 100 days yet, even though it feels like he has. We had Republicans in the Senate who were balking at some of his nominees. So that point for the post on X was really to warn people that 2025 is going to be a fight. We had a monumental election victory. President Trump has a mandate, but we have to be prepared for a marathon.
You're absolutely right about that. And, we've covered some of these VA issues specifically here on this show, how the community care program has gone off the tracks. It's very sad, very disturbing under Biden bureaucrats. Talk about the importance and the opportunity to kind of right the ship here and increase choice and quality of care, which is so important.
I led a group called Concerned Veterans for America, and my predecessor was Pete Hegseth. And Pete did an incredible job of traveling all across the country, talking about two key issues. We needed accountability at the VA, the ability to fire people, but we also wanted choice. Pete and I both believe that if you served your country overseas, you deserve to have a choice in your health care. And if you're happy with the VA, you should be able to choose that hospital. But like me, if I wasn't happy with the VA, I should literally be able to walk across the street to the University of Iowa healthcare system. And so choice is really critical in this. And we believe that veterans, they earn that right. And back before President Trump was elected in 2016, there was the famous, or I should say the infamous VA waitlist scandal in Phoenix, Arizona, where thousands of veterans were left to die on secret wait lists because they weren't able to receive care soon enough.
So sad. It's just devastating to even imagine. You serve and you give your life, you sacrifice your family, everything, your children, and then you can't even get adequate, health care, and then you lose your life because you weren't treated right. In fact, you were mistreated by your country and by the healthcare system and the VA. It's just, it's unacceptable on every level. And I know Pete, full disclosure, very good friend of mine, my colleague from Fox News. I know all the work that he did on behalf of veterans. I know that it's his passion, his heart. I've done many, many events with him, honoring veterans and trying to help disabled veterans and homeless veterans. So I just, I really wish him well and hope that, he gets in. He should be confirmed. We're hearing that breaking news that he has the votes, that people are saying that Thune is saying that. So on that note, we wish him well and hope that it goes well for Department of Defense. But let's talk also about the Article 3 project, because you guys will fight on behalf of President Trump's agenda. The American people delivered him a mandate. What level of confidence do you have in confirmations of people like Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and others?
I'm very confident. The month of December was our biggest month in history for A3P of connecting grassroots volunteers to their Senate offices. We've had over 23,000 people lob in over 70,000 messages into Senate offices. So Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth, when those nominations were announced, they were dead on arrival. But A3P, founded by my good friend Mike Davis, we're both from Iowa. We went to work and we started patching through grassroots members all across the country, reminding these U.S. senators that President Trump has a mandate. But more importantly, MAGA, the America First movement, we have a mandate. We elected President Trump because we wanted the disruption that he brought into the White House back in 2016. We want him to bring that to the Department of Defense, to the VA, to the Department of Justice. And I believe that Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., that they will be confirmed. And like you just mentioned, we're hearing intelligence on the Hill, thanks to people like John Thune, that Pete appears to have the votes. But we are going to continue to patch through people to those Senate offices until Pete raises his right hand and swears under oath to be the Secretary of Defense. We're not leaving this up to chance. We're going to continue to patch those people through those Senate offices.
I love hearing that, believe me, because I'm so tired of it. We've experienced it as a family, like a nonstop, the smear tactics. I know Pete for, I got over a decade, and it's just disgusting the way that they lie and smear someone because they know he's going to go in and do a great job and actually make, change. So he in particular faced a lot of these smear tactics like they did to Kavanaugh, et cetera. But the MAGA base stood strong. Talk more about kind of that cultural shift and disruption.
We saw that they were trying to run Kavanaugh 2.0 against Pete Hegseth. And Mike Davis and I, we worked together on the Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh confirmations.
Yes, you
So
did.
we understand the tactics of the left. And this goes all the way back to Clarence Thomas. They run the same playbook of smearing people. And the New Yorker ran an article with a bunch of anonymous sources talking about how Pete Hegseth ran concerned veterans into the ground. Well, I ran Concerned Veterans for America immediately after Pete. When Pete went to Fox News, I was able to inherit his world-class executive team and his strategy of reforming the VA. And thanks to Pete's leadership, I was able to work with President Trump and members of Congress to pass two of the largest and most historical reforms in VA history. That bill we talked about earlier, but also the Mission Act. But I went on the record. I put my name and my face on my experience with Pete Hegseth, and none of those allegations in the New Yorker were tied to a specific source.
Well, that's the thing. They do this all the time. It's disgusting. And they try to ruin lives, families. He's a great husband, great father, an educated, smart man, a man who served his country and is willing to serve again, despite the odds, despite the smear tactics. It's just repulsive what they do to an individual. You work your whole life and, work very hard and honorably and admirably, and they don't care. They just don't care. It's a politics of personal destruction, over and over and over again. But I'm just, hopeful and prayerful that he's got the votes that we're saying, and he's worked very hard up on the Hill to try to secure the confidence and support of the lawmakers there to get the votes, which is, and I know he works really hard. He was always, volunteered to help out, fill in, work extra hours, work all the holidays like I did at Fox all the time. My gosh, every Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, 9 shows in a row. I didn't take any time off. I didn't even have one sick day at Fox. I was just like a maniac. But so I know the measure of the man in that regard, that he just is willing to do whatever it takes to serve. He takes it very seriously. So, the American people are in for a real treat. That they're going to get, a superstar there. And it says a lot that you took his place and position and the incredible work that you and Mike Davis have done to just help, amazing Americans willing to put it on the line and serve their country no matter, what the odds. So let's talk about that. Where can these amazing American patriots go to learn more and support your mission, moving forward, which I think is very important. Mike Davis is a great friend to this show as well. And we love, Article 3 project. So let us know.
We have built the Article 3 Project Action Center, which you can go to article3project.org, and you'll see a list of actions that you can support the confirmations of Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and RFK Jr. And you can contact your lawmaker via email, also via social media, and patch through phone call. And you can do all of those 3 actions in under 2 minutes at a3paction.com or article3project.org.
That's great. Wow. That fast, huh?
Very quick. And it has an impact. I've heard from lawmakers before using this type of technology. They say, Mark, please make the calls stop. And I always say the calls won't stop until you vote yes for that person. They're confirmed. So we're going to keep the pressure on. We can't take anything for granted. Let's learn from 2017. Let's keep the pressure on, because the grassroots people, we delivered this mandate for President Trump.
You're absolutely right. I love that. They're like, please make it stop. You're like, no, it won't stop. They're like, no, but please. And they're like, no. Good. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. I love it. You guys are avengers for justice. So I really appreciate you being on the program, because I hate to even take any of your time because you're doing such important work, but the people need to know what you're doing to make the difference and to get behind you and support you. You are a true American patriot and hero. Mark Lucas, thank you so much. And thank you again to the Article 3 Project for everything you guys do. Everyone, please keep supporting them.
And Kimberly, thank you for all that you're doing for vets and for the Article 3 Project. We can't do it without great supporters like you and your audience.
Well, it is my honor. So thank you so much for taking the time. And in the meantime, also be sure to support the 1775 Coffee Company, because 1775 coffee is brewed to perfection, crafted with precision, and it is built on patriotism. The farm to cup process means there is quality, authenticity, and sustainability from start to finish. All the beans are ethically and exclusively single sourced, and that is not all. 1775 coffee stands for quality, freedom, and pushing back against the left-wing corporate agenda that's taken over so much of the coffee industry. So try 1775 coffee today. Go to 1775coffee.com/KG and you will get, my friend, 15% off of your first order. There you go. Where's the coffee? Here we go. Do it. And in closing, President Trump's Inauguration Day is inspiring confidence in Americans and freedom-loving allies across the world. So thank you so much for joining today on this important episode. And please be sure to download the Rumble app, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, like and share, and tell all your friends so they know exactly where to find us. And please also be sure to follow me across all platforms: X, Truth Social, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Don't miss Don Jr.'s big show at 6 p.m. Eastern with Congressman Barry Loudermilk and Darren Beatty, who we love. This is going to be a really good one. I hope you can handle it. Fasten your seatbelt. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I hope you're enjoying the new year, and I'm looking forward